If you can't handle me networking without turning into a jealous wreck, maybe you need to walk away." Lucas said it loud enough for the table next to us to hear. He said it while his hand was still resting on the small of another woman's back, his fingers splayed out against the red silk of her dress, like he owned the fabric and the skin underneath it. The air in the Phoenician resort ballroom was recycled and cold, smelling of expensive lilies and the prime rib carving station, but all I could smell was her, Scarlett. She was wearing something that smelled like vanilla and heavy synthetic bourbon. It was cloying. It stuck to the back of my throat. She was standing right there, smiling. Not a nervous smile, not a guilty, "oops, I got caught" grimace. It was a benevolent, pitying smile. She was 26, blonde, and looking at me like I was a confused elderly relative who had wandered into a board meeting. "I'm serious, Harper," Lucas said, taking a sip of his champagne, his eyes hard and flat. "We are trying to have a professional conversation here. You standing there hovering is making everyone uncomfortable. If it's too much for you, just go." I looked at him, really looked at him. This was the man who had promised to love me in sickness and in health. The man who, 3 years ago, had held my hair back while I had food poisoning in a Motel 6. Now he was looking at me with pure, unadulterated annoyance. He thought he was winning. He thought he was asserting his dominance, putting the nagging wife in her place so he could continue flirting with his 20-something direct report in peace. He had no idea what he had just done. In that split second, the noise of the gala, the string quartet playing a butchered version of a Coldplay song, the clinking of crystal, the drone of donor speeches, faded into a dull hum. He thought he was giving me a punishment. Walk away. He didn't realize he was giving me permission. I adjusted my grip on my clutch. I didn't scream. I didn't throw my drink in his face, even though the urge to douse that smug look in lukewarm Chardonnay was almost overwhelming. "You know what?" I said, my voice terrifyingly steady. "You're absolutely right." I turned my back on them, and I walked away. If you're watching this video, tell me where you're from or what time it is for you. Let me back up. Because you don't just walk out of a 6-year marriage because of one bad comment at a charity gala. You walk out because the foundation has been rotting for months, and you were just too busy trying to patch the drywall to notice the house was sliding off the cliff. The rot started on a Tuesday morning in late July. I was in the kitchen trying to scrape burnt bits off a piece of sourdough toast because our toaster had a vendetta against bread. The coffee maker was gurgling its death rattle. It was a normal, chaotic Tuesday. Lucas was sitting at the island fully dressed in his navy suit, the one I'd picked up from the dry cleaners 3 days prior. He was eating a yogurt, staring intently at the granite countertop. His phone was face down next to his spoon. That was the first crack. Lucas never put his phone face down. He was a sales director. His phone was his lifeline. It was usually propped up against the sugar bowl, flashing ESPN notifications or emails from his boss. But today, it was face down, positioned with the kind of geometric precision that screams intent. "Hey," I said, wiping my hands on a dish towel. "Can you check the weather? My phone's dead and I don't know if I need a cardigan." He didn't look up. "It's gonna be 90, like always." Humor me. Is it 90 or 98? Big difference for the AC in my Honda. I reached over to flip his phone over. It was an automatic motion. We knew each other's passcodes. I knew his, 10 or 14, our anniversary. He knew mine. We had zero privacy because we had nothing to hide, or so I thought. I tapped the screen. It lit up. I swiped up and punched in 1014, incorrect passcode. I paused, frowning. Maybe I fat-fingered it. I tried again. 1014, incorrect passcode. Try again in 1 minute. I looked up at him. "Did you change your code?" Lucas stopped eating. He chewed his yogurt slowly, swallowed, and finally looked at me. His eyes were blank, guarded. "Yeah," he said. "It pushed a new security protocol yesterday. Company got hacked last month, some phishing scam. Now we all have to use complex passwords and biometrics. It's a huge hassle." "Oh," I said. "Okay, what's the new one?" He stood up, grabbing his bowl and walking to the sink. He didn't answer immediately. He rinsed the bowl, taking an agonizingly long time to scrub a spot of non-existent yogurt from the rim. "I can't share it," he said, his back to me. "Strict liability policy. If they find out family members have access, I could get flagged. It's a compliance thing, Harper. You know how legal gets." "I'm an auditor. I deal with compliance for a living. I know that don't share your password is a standard rule, but I also know that nobody, absolutely nobody, actually hides their phone from their spouse because of an IT memo." "Right," I said, the word tasting like ash. "Compliance." He kissed me on the forehead on his way out. It was a dry, perfunctory peck. "Have a good day, babe." He walked out the door, and I stood there staring at the toaster, wondering why my stomach felt like I'd just swallowed a bag of rocks. The pattern established itself with the reliability of a Swiss train schedule, Wednesdays and Fridays. It was always client dinners, high-stakes prospects, whales he was trying to land for the quarter. 2 weeks after the phone password incident, I was scrubbing a lasagna pan. Lucas was actually home for once, sitting at the table answering emails on his laptop, screen angled away from me, naturally. "So," I said, trying to keep my voice breezy, "you have another one of those dinners tomorrow?" "Yeah," he muttered, typing furiously. "The Henderson account. They're tough." "Maybe I could come." I scrubbed a stubborn bit of cheese. "I could wear that black dress you like. It might be nice for them to see the family man side. Plus, I haven't seen you in a week." The typing stopped. Lucas turned around slowly. He looked at me with a mixture of confusion and condescension, like I'd just suggested we serve hot dogs at a wedding. "Harper," he sighed, taking off his glasses. "That's not really appropriate." "Why? Spouses go to business dinners all the time." "Not these kinds of dinners," he said, his voice taking on that smooth sales pitch cadence. "These are high-pressure environments. We're talking numbers, contracts. Having a spouse there, it changes the dynamic. It kills the rapport. I need them focused on me, not making polite small talk with you about your auditing job." "I can talk about other things besides auditing, Lucas." "I know you can, but it would make things uncomfortable. Just trust me on this. I'm doing this for us. I'm trying to hit the bonus tier so we can do the kitchen remodel." He made it sound so logical, so reasonable. I was the one being clingy. I was the one who didn't understand business. But the next night, Wednesday, he came home at 10:45 p.m. I was in bed, reading a book I hadn't turned the page of in an hour. I heard the garage door open, heard his heavy footsteps on the stairs. When he walked into the bedroom, the smell hit me before he did. It wasn't steakhouse smoke or scotch. It was wine, something sweet, and that smell, that vanilla bourbon perfume. "Hey," he said, loosening his tie. Exhausted. These guys wouldn't shut up. "You smell like perfume," I said. It just came out. He didn't flinch. He didn't freeze. He just kept unbuttoning his shirt, tossing it into the hamper. "Yeah, the restaurant was packed. We were jammed in a booth next to a bachelorette party. Could barely hear myself think. I feel gross. I'm going to shower." He walked into the bathroom and locked the door. A second later, the shower turned on. He was scrubbing the night off his skin, and I lay there in the dark, telling myself I was crazy. A bachelorette party. It made sense. It was a logical explanation. Lucas was great at logical explanations. 3 days later, I found the receipt. It was Saturday morning. Lucas was out playing golf, or networking on the green, as he called it. I was doing the laundry. I picked up his gray suit jacket, the one he'd worn on Wednesday. I checked the pockets out of habit. He always left gum wrappers or receipts in there, and they made a mess in the wash. My fingers brushed against a piece of thermal paper. I pulled it out. It was crumpled, faded, but legible. Kimpton Hotel, Old Town, Scottsdale. Check-in, 7:15 p.m. Check-out, 11:47 p.m., room 412. Total, 385 hours. The world stopped spinning. It wasn't a restaurant receipt. It was a room charge, a hotel room, for 4 hours on a Wednesday night. The night he said he was with the Henderson account. My hands started shaking. A cold, prickly heat washed over my scalp. I stared at the numbers until they blurred. Room 412. I needed to take a picture. I needed proof. I patted my pockets for my phone. It was downstairs on the counter. I turned to run out of the laundry room and I slammed right into Lucas. He had come home early. I hadn't heard the garage door over the sound of the washing machine. "Whoa," he said, steadying me. He was wearing his polo and khakis, looking sun-kissed and handsome. "Where's the fire?" Then his eyes dropped to my hand, to the crumpled piece of paper I was clutching like a lifeline. "What's that?" he asked. My voice failed. I held it up. "I found this in your pocket from Wednesday." Lucas reached out and took it from my trembling fingers before I could pull it back. He smoothed it out, reading it casually. "Oh, this," he chuckled. "Yeah. A hotel room, Lucas? You rented a hotel room?" He looked at me, a smile playing on his lips. "Harper, relax. We didn't rent a room. We hosted the meeting there. The Henderson guys wanted privacy, and the restaurant was too loud. Remember I told you about the bachelorette party? We rented a conference suite at the Kimpton to go over the contracts. It's standard practice for high-level closings." "A conference suite?" I asked, looking at the receipt in his hand. "It says room 412. "Yeah, they convert the suites into meeting spaces. It's cheaper than renting the ballroom." He shook his head, looking at me with disappointed amusement. "Is that why you're shaking? You thought I checked into a hotel to... what? Have an affair in 4 hours?" Wow. He let out a sharp, incredulous laugh. "You really don't trust me, do you? I'm out here busting my ass to secure our future, and you're digging through my pockets looking for dirt." "I wasn't digging. I was doing laundry." "Sure." He walked over to the trash can in the corner of the laundry room. "You know what? If this is going to make you crazy, let's just get rid of it." He ripped the receipt in half, then in quarters. Then he dropped the confetti-sized pieces into the trash can, right on top of a pile of wet lint and coffee grounds. "There," he said, dusting his hands off. "Evidence of my crime is gone. Can we please move on now? I'm starving." He walked out of the room. I stood there staring at the trash can. The proof was gone, destroyed in seconds, and he had done it so smoothly with such righteous indignation that I actually felt guilty. I felt like the crazy, jealous wife. But deep down, a tiny voice in the back of my head whispered, "Conference suites don't cost $385 flat, and they don't list a single occupant." I had lost the advantage, but I had gained clarity. After the receipt incident, the name started appearing. Scarlett. It was subtle at first, just a drip feed. Scarlett from marketing had a good point today about the slide deck. Scarlett thinks we should pivot to Instagram ads. Scarlett is actually really sharp for someone her age. By early August, it wasn't a drip. It was a fire hose. We were eating takeout Thai food on a Thursday. I was picking at my pad Thai, and Lucas was scrolling on his phone, smiling that private, secret smile. "What's funny?" I asked. He jumped, his thumb instantly locking the screen. "Nothing, just a meme Scarlett sent. Work group chat." "Scarlett again," I said. "What do you mean, again?" "I mean, you've mentioned her." I did a quick calculation. 19 times in the last 4 days. Lucas put his fork down. The atmosphere in the room shifted from casual to frigid. "Are you counting?" he asked, his voice low. "I notice things, Lucas. I'm an accountant. I notice patterns. You talk about her more than you talk about me." "She's a colleague, Harper. We are working on a massive project together. Of course I talk about her. Why are you so obsessed with her?" "I'm not obsessed. I'm just curious why this one specific 26-year-old marketing girl is suddenly the center of your universe." "She is not the center of my universe. You are being paranoid. It's incredibly unattractive, Harper. This insecurity, it's suffocating." He stood up, grabbing his phone. I'm going to finish eating in the den. I can't deal with this interrogation right now." He walked away, leaving me alone with 2 boxes of cold noodles. I wasn't suffocating him. I was gasping for air, 19 times. The way his eyes lit up when he said her name, it was the way he used to look at me 6 years ago. I knew then. I wasn't crazy. I was being replaced. I didn't confront him again. I learned my lesson with the receipt. Confrontation just gave him a chance to destroy evidence and spin the narrative. I needed something he couldn't rip up. The next day, during my lunch break, I sat in my Honda Civic in the far corner of my office parking lot. The AC was blasting, fighting a losing war against the Phoenix heat. I opened a private browser on my phone, incognito mode, private investigator Phoenix cheating spouse. The results populated. I skipped the sponsored ads and clicked on a site that looked professional but understated. Dana Fletcher Investigations. Answers you can trust. I dialed the number. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. "Fletcher Investigations," a woman's voice answered. Raspy, professional, no nonsense. "Hi," I said, my voice barely a whisper. I think my husband is seeing someone. I need to know for sure." "Okay," she said. "No pity, no, oh, honey, just business." "What's his name?" "Lucas. Lucas Garrison." "Where does he work?" "Apex Sales Solutions off Camelback." "Schedule?" "He says he has client dinners on Wednesdays and Fridays, usually late, 5 p.m. to midnight." "All right. Standard surveillance package is $1,500 retainer, $150 an hour. I can start this Wednesday. Do you have a photo?" "Yes. Email it to the secure address on my site. I'll let you know when I have eyes on him." "Okay," I said. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet," she said. "Just send the photo." I hung up. I stared at the phone. $500. That was money we were saving for the house down payment, money I shouldn't be spending. But the alternative, living in this limbo of gaslighting and suspicion, was costing me my sanity, and that was worth more than $1,500. Wednesday came. I sat at my desk at work, staring at spreadsheets but seeing nothing. Every time my phone buzzed, I jumped. At 8:30 p.m., Dana called. I practically dove into an empty conference room and locked the door. "Did you find him?" I asked, breathless. "Yeah, I have eyes on him," Dana said. She sounded bored. "He left the office at 5:15 p.m. And he went to Dave & Buster's at Tempe Marketplace." I blinked. "Dave & Buster's? The arcade?" "Yeah, he's with a group, about 8 people, mixed gender. They're eating nachos and playing skee ball. It looks like a standard team happy hour, Harper." My stomach dropped. Is she there? The blonde? Scarlett? "There is a blonde. She's wearing a red top, but she's on the other side of the table. He's sitting next to a guy with a beard. I haven't seen them interact once. No touching, no lingering looks. Honestly? It looks totally innocent." I slid down the wall until I was sitting on the ugly, patterned carpet. "Oh my God," I whispered. "I am crazy." "Look," Dana said, softening slightly, "sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. I can stay on him for another hour, but if they don't move, I'm just burning your retainer money." Maybe he was telling the truth," I said, feeling tears prick my eyes. "Maybe I'm just projecting." "You want me to pull the plug?" I hesitated. Every instinct I had screamed that he was lying, but the evidence, the paid professional evidence, said he was playing skee ball with his buddies. Give it until 10, I said weakly. "If nothing happens by then, we stop." "You're the boss," Dana said. I hung up and put my head in my hands. I felt stupid. I felt toxic. Lucas was right. I needed to get a grip. 5 days later, Monday morning, I was driving to work when my phone pinged with an email notification. From Fletcher Investigations. Subject Final Report. Case 8922. My heart stopped. Final report? I thought we were done. I thought nothing happened. I pulled into my parking spot but didn't get out. I opened the email. There was a PDF attachment. I opened it. The first page was a summary. Subject, Lucas Garrison. Subject, Scarlett Miller. Observation period, August 14th, 18. I scrolled down. Note, initial surveillance on Wednesday, Aug 14 at Dave & Buster's concluded at 9:45 p.m. However, subject vehicles were tracked departing location. 10:15 p.m. Lucas's silver sedan enters the parking garage of the Kimpton Hotel, Old Town. 10:17 p.m. Scarlett Miller's white Jetta enters same garage. I felt the air leave my lungs. 10:22 p.m. Subjects observed entering elevator together. Physical contact observed. See photo A. I scrolled to photo A. It was grainy, taken from a distance but unmistakable. They were in the elevator lobby. Lucas had his hand on her lower back. He was leaning in, whispering something into her ear. She was laughing, her head thrown back, her neck exposed. I scrolled. 12:42 a.m. Subjects exit hotel. 12:45 a.m. Subjects observed in parking level. B, photo B. They were standing by his car. Lucas had his hands cupping her face. They were kissing. Not a friendly peck. A devouring, desperate kiss. His body was pressed against hers, pinning her slightly against the door of his sedan. I stared at the photo. I zoomed in. I could see the ring on his finger. My ring, the platinum band I'd placed there. I didn't cry. That was the strangest part. I expected to shatter. I expected to scream. Instead, a cold, metallic calm settled over me. It was the accountant in me taking over. The part of my brain that balances ledgers and finds discrepancies. The discrepancy was resolved. The debit didn't match the credit. The marriage was insolvent. I closed the PDF. I wiped a single tear that had escaped without permission, and then I went to work. 3 weeks later. 3 weeks of knowing. 3 weeks of pretending to be the dutiful wife while I gathered my resources. Lucas came home on a Tuesday, actually energized. "So," he said, tossing his keys on the counter, "the Children's Hospital Gala is this Friday. It's at the Phoenician this year." "Oh?" I said, chopping carrots with a rhythmic thwack, thwack, thwack. "You usually hate that thing. Too many speeches." "Yeah, well, the firm is sponsoring a table. It's a big networking opportunity. I think we should both go." I paused. "You want me to go?" "Yeah. It'll be good for us. A night out. Dress up. We haven't done that in a while." I looked at him. He looked sincere. For a split second, a foolish, pathetic second, I wondered if maybe he was trying. Maybe the affair was fizzling out. Maybe he wanted to reconnect. "Okay," I said, "I'll go." I went all out. I bought a jade green dress that cost way too much. It was fitted, silk, elegant. The kind of dress designed to make a husband look twice. I got my hair done in loose waves. I bought heels that were torture devices but made my calves look amazing. I told myself it was for me. But deep down, I was still trying to win a competition he hadn't told me I was entered in. Friday night arrived. I was ready at 5:30 p.m., standing in the living room, smoothing down the silk. Lucas walked in, adjusting his tie. He glanced at me. "You look nice," he said, flat, distracted. He was already checking his emails. "Thanks. You too." "Listen," he said, not looking up. "I have to stop by the office first, grab some brochures for the table. You should just drive separately. I don't want you waiting in the car." "We're going to the same place, Lucas. I can wait." "No, just meet me there. It's easier. I'll see you at the cocktail hour." He grabbed his keys. He sprayed cologne, too much of it. That aggressive, trying to impress scent. "Bye," he said. He left. I stood there in my beautiful green dress, in the empty house, realizing that the date night was a lie. He didn't want to drive with me because he wanted to call her on the way. I drove to the Phoenician alone. The valet line was a parade of luxury cars. Beamers, Mercedes, Teslas. Couples were getting out, arms linked, laughing. Men holding doors for their wives. Women adjusting their husbands' lapels. I handed my keys to the valet. "Just one?" he asked. "Just one," I said. I walked into the ballroom. It was stunning. Gold chandeliers, marble floors, waiters with trays of champagne. It screamed money. I felt like a fraud. I felt like a child wearing her mother's clothes. I clutched my purse like a shield. I texted Lucas, "I'm here. Where are you?" 3 dots. Then, "Running late. Be there soon. No, you look beautiful. No, save me a dance." Just logistics. I wandered over to the silent auction tables. I pretended to be deeply interested in a signed basketball and a weekend trip to Sedona. I could feel people's eyes on me, the solo woman, the abandoned wife. "Is this bid sheet open?" a woman asked me, her diamond bracelet catching the light. "Yes," I said, stepping back. "Are you here with the foundation?" she asked, glancing around for my partner. "My husband is with Apex Sales," I said. "He's parking." A lie. I was lying for him, even now. 30 minutes passed. My feet were starting to throb in the torture heels. I checked my phone again. Nothing. Then the crowd parted, and I saw him. He hadn't just arrived. He'd been there. He was across the room near the bar, and he wasn't alone. He wasn't looking for me. He wasn't checking the door or scanning the crowd or looking at his phone to see if I'd arrived. He was looking at her. Lucas was standing near a pillar by the open bar, holding a tumbler of scotch. Scarlett was standing in front of him, close. Too close for a colleague. Too close for a direct report. She was inside his personal space bubble, the one he usually guarded like a fortress. She was wearing a red dress. It was backless, cut low, the kind of dress that says, "I am the main character." And Lucas was treating her like she was the only character. I stood frozen by the silent auction table, clutching my clutch until my knuckles turned white. I watched them like I was watching a nature documentary about a predator and its prey, except I couldn't tell which was which. Scarlett said something. She leaned in, tilting her head up, exposing the long line of her throat. Lucas laughed. It wasn't his client laugh, that dry, polite chuckle he used when a prospect made a bad joke. This was a real laugh. His head threw back, his shoulders shook. He looked happy. He looked alive in a way I hadn't seen him in 2 years. Then I saw it. The touch. Scarlett reached out and placed her hand on his bicep. It wasn't a tap. It wasn't a, "Hey, look at that" gesture. Her hand landed and stayed. Her fingers curled slightly into the fabric of his suit jacket. She rubbed her thumb against his arm. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. I counted them. Lucas didn't pull away. He didn't shift uncomfortably. He leaned into it. He angled his body toward her, creating a closed circle that shut out the rest of the room. He whispered something to her, his lips inches from her ear, and she giggled, her hand sliding down his arm to rest, just for a moment, on his forearm. My stomach turned to lead. It was one thing to see grainy photos in a PDF file. It was another thing entirely to watch it happening in high definition, 20 feet away, while wearing the dress I bought to save our marriage. I was about to move. I didn't know if I was going to run away or march over there and scream, when a wall of black wool appeared in front of me. "Harper? Harper, hey!" I blinked, stepping back. It was Miles. Miles worked in operations at Apex. He was the guy who fixed the logistics when sales overpromised. He was quiet, bearded, always wore glasses that were slightly crooked. We'd met at the company barbecue last summer and bonded over a shared hatred of potato salad with raisins. He was standing directly between me and Lucas, blocking my line of sight completely. "Oh," I said, my voice sounding tinny. "Hi, Miles." It's really good to see you," he said. He was talking too fast. His eyes were darting around nervously. "Have you seen the auction items? There's a really cool vintage guitar over there. You like music, right? I remember you liking music." He shifted to the left as I tried to peer around him. He shifted with me, like a basketball defender. "Miles," I said, "and the food. The shrimp is huge, enormous shrimp. You should definitely check out the buffet before it gets cold. Miles, please move. He stopped. He looked at me, and his face crumbled a little. The nervous energy evaporated, replaced by a heavy, sad resignation. You don't want to look over there, Harper, he said softly. Trust me. Just, let's go look at the guitar. Please. He knew. The realization hit me harder than the sight of Scarlett's hand. Miles knew. The office knew. Probably the valet Parker knew. I was the last idiot to the party. How long? I asked, looking him dead in the eye. He winced. He looked down at his polished shoes. I don't know for sure. Rumors started about 2 months ago, but I saw them leaving together a few times. I didn't want to say anything because, well, it's not my place. I'm sorry. It's okay, I said. And strangely, I meant it. It wasn't his fault. He was trying to protect me right now, standing here like a human shield in a tuxedo. I appreciate it, Miles, really. But I'm done hiding behind silent auction tables. I stepped around him. He reached out a hand as if to stop me, then dropped it. Good luck, he whispered. I didn't storm over there. Storming is emotional. Storming is messy. I walked. I walked with the precision of a woman walking a tightrope. I grabbed 2 glasses of champagne from a passing waiter's tray, not for drinking, but for props, to occupy my hands so I wouldn't claw anyone's eyes out. I approached them from the side. Scarlett saw me first. Her eyes flicked to me, and for a microsecond her mask slipped. I saw the flash of annoyance, the the wife is here irritation. Then, smooth as butter, she arranged her face into a pleasant professional smile. Harper, Lucas said when he turned and saw me. He didn't sound happy. He sounded like a kid whose mom just walked in on him playing video games when he should be doing homework. Here you are, I said, my voice bright and brittle. I handed him a glass of champagne. I've been wandering around for 45 minutes. You said you'd be right behind me. He took the glass but didn't drink. He looked at it like it was a subpoena. I got caught up, he said, gesturing vaguely. Networking. You know how it is. I do, I said. I turned to Scarlett. Hello, I don't think we've officially met. I'm Harper. I extended my hand. She took it. Her hand was soft, her grip weak. Her nails were painted a perfect glossy red. Scarlett, she said, I work with Lucas. I've heard so much about you. Funny, I said, holding her gaze until she blinked and looked away. Lucas talks about you all the time. 19 times in 4 days, actually. Lucas stiffened. Harper, he warned. What? I'm just making conversation. I stood there, waiting to be included. Waiting for my husband to put his arm around me, to introduce me to his boss who was standing nearby, to integrate me into his networking. Instead, they iced me out. Anyway, Scarlett said, turning her shoulder slightly so her back was to me. Lucas, about the Q4 projections. Did you see the email from Dave? He thinks we can hit 20% growth if we aggressively target the healthcare sector. I saw it, Lucas said, his body angling back toward her, shutting me out of the circle again. Dave is optimistic, but he doesn't understand the regulatory hurdles. If we pitch to healthcare, we need to have legal on board first. Exactly, Scarlett beamed, touching his arm again. That's what I said. I told him, Dave, you're dreaming if you think compliance will sign off on that copy. They laughed. An inside joke. A work joke. A joke designed to remind me that I didn't belong in their world. I stood there, sipping my champagne, invisible. I was a ghost at my own funeral. 10 minutes. I lasted 10 minutes of them talking over me, around me, and through me. Finally, I set my glass down on a high-top table with a loud clink. Lucas, I said, I'd like to go. He stopped mid-sentence. He looked at me with open hostility now. The mask was gone. He was annoyed that his prop was talking. We just got here, he snapped. We've been here for 2 hours. I have been here for 2 hours waiting for you. You've been here doing this. Doing what? Working. He threw his hands up. I am working, Harper. This is my job. Why do you always have to make everything about you? I'm not making it about me. I'm asking to leave because I'm uncomfortable watching my husband flirt with his assistant in front of half of Phoenix. The air around us vanished. Scarlett gasped, a theatrical hand-to-the-chest gasp. I am not his assistant. I am a marketing coordinator. Whatever, I said. Lucas, are we leaving or not? Lucas stepped closer to me. He lowered his voice, but it was a hiss, a venomous, angry hiss that carried. You are embarrassing me, he said. You are acting like a crazy, jealous child. I am not leaving. I am staying to finish my work. So you're choosing to stay with her? He looked at me. His eyes were cold, dead. Look, he said, if you can't handle me networking without getting insecure, maybe you should just walk away. The words hung there. Walk away. He said it with a shrug, like I was disposable. Like if I left, it would be a relief. I looked at Scarlett. She was watching us, her eyes wide, but the corner of her mouth was twitching upward. She had won. She had the prize. I looked back at Lucas. Okay, I said. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. You're right, I said. I can't handle it, so I'll take your advice. I turned around. I walked past Miles, who was watching with his mouth open. I walked past the check-in desk. I walked out into the humid night air. I didn't look back, not once. The drive home was silent. No radio, no podcast, just the hum of the tires on the asphalt and the sound of my own breathing. I wasn't hyperventilating. I was breathing deeply, rhythmically. In for 4, out for 4. I pulled into the driveway. The house was dark. The sensor light flickered on as I walked up the path. A house that felt like a stranger's. I walked inside, kicked off the torture heels in the foyer, and went straight to the kitchen. I didn't turn on the overhead lights. I liked the dark. It felt appropriate. I opened the wine fridge. There sat the bottle of Caymus Cabernet we'd been saving for our anniversary in October. A $180 bottle. A gift from his boss 3 years ago. I uncorked it. I didn't bother letting it breathe. I poured a glass, a large glass, and sat at the kitchen island. My phone buzzed on the granite. Lucas, 9:45 p.m. Where did you go? Lucas, 9:47 p.m. People are asking where you went. This is humiliating. Lucas, 9:52 p.m. Pick up your phone. Lucas, 10:05 p.m. You made a scene, Harper. I hope you're happy. Lucas, 10:15 p.m. Are you home? Lucas, 10:30 p.m. I'm worried. Please text back. The progression from anger to panic. He was realizing that I hadn't just gone to the bathroom. I had actually left. He had bluffed, and I had called it. I watched the notifications stack up like Tetris blocks. I didn't touch the phone. I took a sip of the wine. It was rich, oaky, and tasted like freedom. I sat there in the dark, and for the first time in months, my brain was quiet. The anxiety was gone. The am I crazy loop was gone. I had a plan. I finished the glass of wine and opened my laptop. I am a CPA. I am a senior auditor. I look for holes in financial statements. I find where the money goes. I logged into our joint Wells Fargo account. Balance $76,400. This was our life savings. The house fund. The future kids fund. I opened a new tab. I logged into my personal account at a credit union, an account I'd had since college, one I used for small personal expenses, one Lucas barely knew existed. I did the math. 50%. Arizona is a community property state. Everything acquired during the marriage is 50-50. If I took it all, a judge would look at me unfavorably. If I took exactly half, I was just securing my legal share. I initiated a transfer, $38,200 from joint checking to Harper Personal Savings. Memo, division of marital assets. I clicked submit. The little loading wheel spun. Success. I wasn't stealing. I was protecting. Because I knew Lucas. I knew that the moment he realized I was serious, he would drain that account. He would claim he needed it for living expenses or try to hide it in crypto. I screenshotted the transaction. I screenshotted the balance. Then I went to the credit card portal. I downloaded the last 12 months of statements as CSV files. I downloaded the mortgage statements. I downloaded his 401k quarterly reports. I created a folder on my desktop named Project Phoenix. I dragged everything into it. He thought walking away meant going home to cry. He didn't realize walking away meant taking half the infrastructure with me. It was 1:15 a.m. Lucas wasn't home yet, probably decompressing with Scarlett at the hotel. I needed one more thing. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found Miles, Apex Ops. I hesitated. It was late. He was probably asleep, but the image of him trying to block my view at the gala stuck in my head. He was an ally. I texted, "I know it's late, but do you have proof? You said you saw them leaving together before. Did you take photos?" I put the phone down, expecting to wait until morning. 3 minutes later, it buzzed. "Miles, I'm awake. I couldn't sleep after tonight." A second later, an image popped up. It was from a month ago. A parking garage. Lucas and Scarlett walking toward his car. His arm was around her waist. Her head was on his shoulder. It was intimate, undeniable. "Miles, I took this in July. I was leaving late. I felt like a creep keeping it, but I thought you might need it eventually. Harper." "Thank you, Miles. You have no idea how much this helps." "Miles, tonight was brutal. What he said to you, nobody deserves that." "Harper, he told me to walk away. Best advice he ever gave me. I saved the photo to Project Phoenix. Now I had the PI report, the hotel receipts, the text logs, the financial records, and a witness photo from a coworker. My arsenal was complete. I didn't sleep. I showered, washed the hairspray out of my hair, and put on my most severe professional suit. At 8 a.m. on Saturday, I called Rachel. Rachel was a divorce attorney I'd done an audit for 2 years ago. She was terrifying. She wore 6-inch heels and ate opposing counsel for breakfast. "Rachel, it's Harper," I said when she picked up. "Harper, it's Saturday. Is the IRS at my door?" "No, I need to file for divorce today, and I need it to be aggressive." "Talk to me." I gave her the bullet points, the affair, the public humiliation, the gaslighting, the assets. "I transferred half the savings last night," I said. "Good girl," Rachel purred. "Smart. Okay, here's what we do. I'll draft the petition this weekend. We file Monday morning first thing. Do you want to serve him at home?" "No," I said, staring at the empty side of the bed where Lucas should have been. "He has a team meeting every Monday at 9 a.m. It's in the glass-walled conference room. Everyone sees it." "You want to serve him there?" "I want everyone to know, Rachel. He wanted an audience last night? I'll give him one on Monday." "I love it. Consider it done." I hung up. Then I opened my laptop again. I drafted an email to the HR director at Apex Sales. Subject: ethics violation, conflict of interest complaint, urgent to whom it may concern attached. Please find documentation regarding a romantic relationship between Director Lucas Garrison and his direct report, Scarlett Miller. This relationship violates the company's fraternization policy, Section 4.2 of Employee Handbook. Attached, investigator report, dates, times of hotel stays during work hours, photographic evidence on company property, parking garage, witness statement, available upon request. As a stakeholder in the marital assets being used to fund these business expenses, I am formally reporting this misuse of company funds and time. I set the email to send automatically at 9:30 a.m. Monday, exactly 30 minutes after the process server would walk in. Monday morning. Lucas had come home, Sunday afternoon, hungover and defensive. I had slept in the guest room with the door locked. We hadn't spoken. He left for work at 7:30 a.m. whistling. He actually whistled. He thought the storm had passed. He thought I was just sulking in the guest room and would get over it by dinner. I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of the good coffee, the expensive beans I usually hid from him. 9 a.m. I watched the clock on the microwave. 9:15 a.m. My phone buzzed. It was Miles. Miles. Holy s... Miles. A guy just walked into the fishbowl, the conference room. He asked for Lucas. Miles. He handed him a thick envelope. Miles. Lucas looks like he's going to vomit. Miles. Scarlett just ran out of the room. She's crying. Miles. The VP just paused the meeting. Everyone is staring. I took a sip of coffee. It was delicious. 9:31 a.m. The email to HR would have just landed in the inbox of the Director of People Ops. 10 a.m. My phone started ringing. Lucas. I declined it. 10:01 a.m. Lucas. Declined. 10:05 a.m. Lucas. Blocked. 11:45 a.m. Miles. Security just showed up. They are escorting Lucas and Scarlett to their desks to pack their things. Miles. They're being walked out. Suspended pending investigation. Miles. Harper, you went nuclear. I texted back. He told me to walk away. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel glee. I just felt done. The ledger was balanced. That evening, I had a locksmith waiting. He was a nice guy named Dave. He changed the front door, the back door, and the garage code. You want the deadbolts reinforced? Dave asked. Yes, please. I packed Lucas's things. I didn't burn them, I'm not a cliché, and I didn't cut them up. I packed them neatly into black garbage bags, suits, shoes, golf clubs. I put them on the front porch. At 7:00 p.m., Lucas's car pulled into the driveway. He looked wrecked. His tie was gone. His shirt was untucked. He looked 10 years older than he had this morning. He walked up to the door and shoved his key in. It didn't turn. He tried again, jiggled it, kicked the door. Harper, he screamed. Open the goddamn door! I opened it, but kept the security chain on. Through the 4-inch gap, I looked at him. You changed the locks? He shouted. This is my house. Not right now, it isn't, I said calmly. My lawyer filed for temporary exclusive use. Since you have destroyed the marriage and are a volatile presence, you need to find somewhere else to sleep. Volatile. You got me fired, Harper. You sent that email to HR. You ruined my career. You ruined your career when you slept with your subordinate on company time, Lucas. I just forwarded the receipts. He slammed his hand against the door frame. It was a mistake. One mistake. It was 7 weeks of lies. It was a hotel room on a Wednesday. It was humiliation at a gala. I pointed to the bags on the porch. Your stuff is there. If you aren't gone in 5 minutes, I'm calling the police and reporting a trespasser. Rachel says the restraining order will be easier to get if there's a police report. He stared at me. He looked at the woman he thought was a doormat, the woman he thought would just get over it. You're a bitch, he spat. I'm an accountant, I corrected, and your account is closed. I shut the door. I locked the deadbolt. I watched through the peephole as he dragged the garbage bags to his car, cursing the whole way. The divorce proceeded. It was messy, but I had all the cards. 3 weeks later, I was going through the credit card statements one last time for the final asset division. I was looking for hidden recurring charges, gym memberships, subscriptions. I found a charge on a card I rarely checked, a backup Visa we kept for emergencies, June 24th, Tiffany & Co., Scottsdale Fashion Square, amount $12,400. My breath hitched, $12,000. That was the exact amount we had saved for the kitchen renovation last year before he said we couldn't afford it. I called the store. I pretended to be the wife helping with insurance papers. I need the details on the item purchased on June 24th, I told the sales associate. Let me pull that up. Ah, yes, the Celeste engagement ring, platinum band, cushion cut. Engagement ring. He hadn't just been sleeping with her. He hadn't just been having fun. He bought an engagement ring in June, 2 months before the gala. He was planning to leave me. He was planning to use our emergency money to buy her a ring, and he was probably waiting for the bonus check to clear before he served me papers. He beat me to the punch, but he used my wallet to do it. That was the moment the last shred of sadness evaporated. I wasn't grieving a marriage. I was grieving a con. I forwarded the statement to Rachel. Add this to the dissipation of assets claim. I want half the value of that ring back. Update, 4 months later. The divorce was finalized in November. I got the house. He got his debt and his 401k, what was left of it. I was at a coffee shop in Scottsdale waiting for a latte. I was scrolling through Zillow looking at investment properties when I heard a voice. Harper? I turned. It was Scarlett. She looked different. The glossy main character energy was gone. Her roots were showing, dark brown against the bleach blonde. She was wearing yoga pants and a stained hoodie. She looked tired. Can we talk? She asked. Her voice was small. I don't think so, I said, turning back to the counter. Please, I need you to know something. I sighed. What, Scarlett? Make it quick. I didn't know, she whispered. Tears welled up in her eyes. He told me you guys were separated. He told me you had an open marriage. He said you were just roommates waiting for the lease to run out. I looked at her. I really looked at her. He lied to you, I said. I know that now, but I believed him. I thought we were in love. And now I've lost everything. I can't get a job in this city. Everyone knows. My reputation is trash. She wanted absolution. She wanted me to say, it's okay, you were a victim too. But I remembered the gala. I remembered her hand on his arm. I remembered her smirk when he told me to walk away. Scarlett, I said, stepping closer, you were at the gala. You saw me standing there. You saw him treat me like dirt. You smiled. You knew. Deep down, you knew. You just didn't care because you thought you were winning. I picked up my latte from the counter. And here's the thing, I said, leaning in. You didn't lose him. You dodged a bullet. If he'd left me for you, you'd be me in 5 years. You'd be the one checking his pockets and wondering why he's working late. Her face fell. He bought a ring, by the way. I dropped the bomb casually. With my money. You can ask him about it when he's done couch surfing. I walked out. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt clean. Dos. 6 months later. I renovated the house. I hired a contractor to rip out the kitchen, the one Lucas never let us fix. I tore down the wall that blocked the light. I installed skylights. I painted the bedroom. No more masculine gray. It's sage green now with plants everywhere. It smells like eucalyptus, not deception. Lucas moved to Tucson. Miles told me he's selling solar panels door to door. He lives in a studio apartment. I got promoted to director of auditing. My boss said my attention to detail in the last quarter was unmatched. If only they knew. Last night, I was sitting on my new patio drinking tea. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I miss you. I made a mistake. Can we talk? I didn't even wonder if it was him. I knew. I didn't reply. I didn't block it. I just deleted it. He told me to walk away. So I did. And I kept walking. And the view from here is spectacular. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from, or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say, you were here.